Here's my pathway slash identical, okay, scenario. If it's pathways, there's a very easy case, which is just you can go either from A to B or B to A. It doesn't matter. Right? This would just be 5 factorial over 3 factorial, 2 factorial. Okay? So that's just as simple as that. Those ones are fairly straightforward. You should be able to do that. Then you've got the ones where you have 2 bottlenecks. Okay? And in that case, you would go from A to C. So you go 3 and 3, that's 6 factorial, over 3 factorial, 3 factorial. C to B is 3 factorial and then 2 factorial, 1 factorial. Or you can go through D and then B. So A to D would be 4 and 2 is 6 factorial, and then it's 4 factorial, 2 factorial. It doesn't matter which order you do them in. And then it's from D to B is 3 factorial, 2 factorial, 1 factorial. And you can simplify that yourselves. Just make sure you don't rush this one. Figure out the bottom parts separately and the tops as well, and then divide them, simplify it, and then at the end you add, okay? So that's how you do a pathways like that. This would not be a probability scenario. It would just be how many ways can you go from A to B, and you need to make sure you do this in cases. You've got the one bottleneck scenario, right? It's just A to C and then C to B. That's it. So this would be 4 factorial over 2 factorial, 2 factorial. And this would be what? 4 and 3 is 7 factorial. And then it's 4, 3. That's what you have to have down here. And you simplify, and then you get that part. Then you have the probability scenario. Okay, probability. You need to basically figure out the universal first. So I would say this is your universal. You don't worry about the bottleneck C. Okay, that's that. That's your NU. NA is just focusing on what's happening if I need to go through C. Okay, so that is one, and this is another one. And it's right, you're going from A to C and then C to B. So that would be your top part there. So real quick, this would just be 8 factorial, like the denominator would be 8 factorial over 4 and 4. It gets really ugly. I would recommend do this separately. Do this in different chunks, but this would be the number that is your NU. For NA, the top, you go from A to C, that's 6 factorial, 3 factorial, 3 factorial. And then it's 1, 2. It's just 2 factorial over 1 factorial, 1 factorial, which is really not necessary. But you clean this up, you get a number for the numerator. You clean this up, you get a number for the denominator, and you're good to go. This is a probability scenario. This is the only one that I've ever seen that turns it into a probability. So what's the chances that you go through C? This is how you do it. So it's like 2 questions in one. Next, the identical objects. So identical objects, you got to watch out, right? It's marbles, balloons, decorations of some sort, but don't fall for the same color. If you know that the items are distinguishable, you got to make sure you don't fall for it. You don't have to worry about this, like if it's people wearing the same color shirt. So identical objects, easy, not a single repeat. So it's just 4 factorial, 24 ways to arrange the letters in this word. If it's meme, I'm keeping it short, right? 4 factorial because it's 4 letters, but there's 2 M's and 2 E's. So you could do that. It'd be only 6 ways because it really doesn't matter if you switch the E's and the M's. So it's a lot fewer permutations there. A little side note here. What if a question says it has to start with an E? You figure out how many are there. In this case, there are 2. So normally you would put down 2. But we're not going to count the other E's. They're exactly the same. We're not going to count them as different cases. So you put just 1 down, and then you're left with 3, 2, 1. So it's 3 factorial basically at the top. But in the denominator, since 1e is fixed and only 1 roams around, it turns to 1 factorial. So see how, let's look at the previous one, it was 2 factorial, 2 factorial. It's like 2 e's, 2 m's. Now it's just 1 e and 2 m still in this mix. So you got to factorial that out. You got to divide that out. Next, marbles. If you have 3 red, 4 blue, 7 yellow, you add it up, it's 14. So it's 14 factorial, and then 3, 4, 7 n factorial as well at the denominator.